You'll notice more peace of mind. You'll notice that you're able to handle situations better. It's going to be a process to really look within yourself. It's not easy, but it is completely worth it. What's up, guys? Elijah Flowers here. I am in Cincinnati, Ohio, visiting Kate. I'm in her room right now, and this is my last day here for this time around. I'm actually flying out in a few hours, but I wanted to make this video real quick about meditation. It's a topic that is all over the place. Everybody has something to say about it, or people are really interested in it, which is great. Personally, I've had my own practice for about 10 years now. I started reading about meditation when I was 16 or 17. I'm 26 now. And over the last few years, I've lived a lifestyle of no drugs and absolutely no alcohol. And my practice has been most consistent, I would say, during that time. If you've never meditated before, I would say, first of all, don't be overwhelmed by the idea of it, and don't feel any pressure in terms of doing it the right or the wrong way. I think when you're approaching a practice, the best thing to have in mind is simplicity and to really have no expectations around it. There's been times in my life where I practice for 40 minutes a day, and I always do it first thing in the morning. But recently I set aside 20 minutes a day because I know I can accomplish that pretty much every day. And for me, sitting is a simplified space. I mean, when you're living your life day to day, everybody's so busy, including myself. I live in New York City. It's so easy to go through a day and not have a lot of time to pause. So when I have a practice of sitting there, being quiet with myself, I get to see my thoughts come and go, which allows me to build awareness and sort of create an anchor or a spiritual anchor for the beginning of my day before I go out into the world. And it helps keep me level throughout the day. It is really not an easy task to sit there and to objectively observe your thoughts. If you've never done it before, you're gonna sit there and probably be overwhelmed by the whirlwind of thinking that's going on in your mind, and that's totally okay. But if you can sit there for 1 minute or 3 minutes and just do your best to be present in that moment and be aware of your thoughts as they're happening in that moment without judgment. The thoughts are good or bad, it doesn't really matter. The point is that the thoughts are happening in your head. They're not really based in reality. The reality is that when you meditate, you're sitting in your room by yourself, and in that present moment, that is really the only thing that is happening and that is real. That applies to life in general. When we go out into life, we're only ever living it in the present moment. But we get so carried away by the momentum of our thoughts, and I'm talking about myself. If I'm not practicing, the habitual energy of my thoughts and my thinking will take over. I'll be more reactive, I'll be more emotional to certain events, I'll be less poised to react in a good way. So for all those reasons, having a consistent practice is super important. There's a lot of books out there that can help explain sort of what a path like this might look like or what a practice might look like. And there's probably also a lot of books out there that are gonna hold out promises as to what it's gonna give you or bring you. And what I've always found to be true are teachers who don't really hold out any promises. They don't give you any free cookies or promote like, you know, this is gonna be for you and you're gonna experience bliss at all times and have all these great feelings. I don't actually think that that's what a genuine practice is. I think that you should feel whatever you're feeling, and a lot of times it's probably gonna be discomfort. Emotionally, you're gonna have all sorts of things come up that maybe you're not looking at on a day-to-day basis, and your job as a practitioner is to sit there and be with it and experience it. So I would say anything written by Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Buddhist monk who was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize by Martin Luther King Jr. back in the 70s. He has dedicated his life to practicing meditation, mindfulness, and spreading that across the world and engaging political structures, engaging the world, not like just sitting in a monastery and not being a part of anything. And as a side note, him and his whole crew are vegans, and they have chosen that path out of compassion for the animals and what they go through in the food industry. If you look him up, he's written tons of books. Some are titled as simply as Anger by Thich Nhat Hanh, where he breaks down the emotion of anger and how it surfaces and how we can deal with it. You'll have no shortage of reading if you decide to look into him and what he's written, and you can look at what's most popular or whatever you might be attracted to. You can't really go wrong. Another author who not a lot of people have heard of, her name is Charlotte Joko Beck, and I'm gonna put all these names in the description at the bottom of the video. And this was probably one of the first spiritual books I read. I was 16 at the time, and I was working for a jeweler, and I found this book sitting on one of his coffee tables. And it was entitled Everyday Zen. And I had some kind of idea of what Zen was or some fantasy around it. And so I was attracted to the book, and I remember I picked it up, and within the first 10 pages, I felt a shift in my consciousness that I hadn't really experienced before, because she was talking about awareness and presence in a way that I hadn't really read before. And it created some space around the ego that I had built up until that time at 16 years old. It just hit me to my core, and I've gone back to that book several times over the years. I still use it as a guide. She's probably one of my biggest influences. It's just very powerful stuff. Again, if you're looking for a book that's gonna like hold out happy feelings to you and promises, this is not the one. She truly emphasizes practice and diligently practicing and finding that space, whether it's 5 minutes or 20 minutes, just finding some sort of consistent practice, which I really admire. I don't think there are any shortcuts to a peaceful, stable life. I do think you have to work for it, just like anything else in life. And then when you do put in the time and you do practice, you reap the benefits. You'll notice more stability. You'll notice more peace of mind. You'll notice that you're able to handle situations better. It's gonna be a process to really look within yourself. It's not easy, but it is completely worth it. And wrapping this up, I would say, most importantly, be patient with yourself. Don't have any expectations of yourself. Just go into it with an open mind. And if you get lost or confused while you're sitting, remember that you can always come back to awareness of your breath as the most basic practice. Breathing in, I'm aware that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I'm aware that I am breathing out. You can say that over and over to yourself as a very simple reminder that this moment you're living in is the only moment that exists. All right, guys, that wraps this video up. I hope that it was useful in some way to you. I hope that you can take this, and if you already have a practice, maybe build off of it with some of the things I said. And if you don't have a practice, I hope this encourages you to begin to try to have one. Finding peace, one moment at a time, as much as we can in this crazy, busy world that we live in, I think is pretty important. And it's something I definitely strive to do. If you like this video, like it, leave me a comment, let me know what your practice is, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos from me. I'm going to keep uploading them, and that's it. All right, talk to you later. Peace.